Test, test, test. It's on. Here you go.
Thank you.
So, thank you everyone for coming to our first event of Game Dev Guild Serbia. So we will. Yeah, my name is Sava. I will be your host today, and yeah, we chose to speak in English because we have people who don't speak Serbian well. So, and also we will share the recording of this video later. And yeah, we gathered here with this magnificent crew who has more or less a lot of experience with game jams, which is going to be the theme of this event. So yeah, we have Milica, Neda, Nikola, and Bogdan as our guests. And yeah, I will let them introduce themselves.
Thank you. Hi everyone, I am Bogdan. I am a game programmer and a first-year student. And I like to use Godot engine for my games. Yeah, I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, you make games. You make games.
Hello, I am Nikola Mihajlović. I'm a sound designer and also music composer sometimes. And I'm just slowly starting to meet people in the games industry, so this is quite an
big leap
experience. Yes.
Thank you.
Hi everyone, I'm Neda Stamenković. I'm a UX UI designer in Play Studios Europe. I'm actually I graduated architecture before this, but decided to use my skills for game making.
Hey, I'm Milica. I'm a producer currently. I started as an artist, and I've been working in the industry for more than 10 years now.
Wow. Yeah, so yeah, I mean, we will not be passing it around. It was much easier with this one. And so yeah, we wanted to gather like people from different backgrounds, which is I find very fascinating in game jams because you work with a lot of different people, different level of experience, and like years in industry. And what would I like to talk about now? Because how many people here participated in a game jam? Okay, okay, a lot. There are people who never participated, but there is always a time for that. So I remember my first game jam. It was a lot time ago, but I would like to hear like what were your experiences from the game, from your first game jam? Like how did you start? Like okay, Bogdan, what was your first game jam?
I wasn't supposed to attend my first game jam. I hadn't been accepted, but they offered me a chance to join another team, and I took that chance. Before that, I had signed up to attend with my friends. So I wasn't attending with my friends, and I attended with a random team, and it was amazing. Like before that, I had participated in 2 game jams that were online, and those were nice, but in real life, it's a whole another story.
Yeah, cool. I also agree with this having to work with people who you don't know, you don't work every day is a very interesting thing and useful. Yes. You learn a lot. I don't know if anyone else has that experience with working with completely strangers on game jams. Never. Milica is like always pro team?
Well, I share the same experience as Bogdan. I got into contact with some students of game design in Novi Sad, and they said we wanted to participate in a game jam, but we need a composer, sound designer, and I took them up on that offer. It was the first time that I was working with a game designer who had to direct me, who had to give me precise instructions, what the game was going to look like, what he wanted. So it was also quite a positive experience. It's you meet some new people, you do something new. So it was pretty good.
Cool, thank you.
I actually too wasn't supposed to participate in my first game.
So it's by accident. Everyone start by accident.
I wanted to participate, but I didn't know anyone, and I didn't know anyone who knew anyone who participated.
But you did it.
Yes, I actually applied to volunteer and help out with the organization first, and my plan was just to look at people who do that and just
see how it goes. Like what is a game jam?
Yeah, I don't know anything, but I'll see first. But then our team of volunteers actually decided to participate on the spot. We were like, okay, let's make something. And we did, and it was a successful game, and it was a really great experience. I actually also met them recently, so it was nice. It was new people, and it was really nice experience.
Yeah, cool. And Milica is...
Yeah, my first experience isn't like with complete strangers, but it was kind of, because my first game jam was in one of my previous companies. Med had like internal game jams every year, and the idea behind it was they were making the teams from people who are not working together usually. So it was people that I didn't actually know, but like
you never worked with them.
I knew them, but I never worked with them. And the idea was to take on the roles that you wouldn't usually take. So if you're like never leading, never directing, you would do that. If you wanted to try being an artist and you weren't, you could try that. So it was really like stepping out of your comfort zone and stepping out of your usual role, which was really good. It was chaos from the start, but it was in the end a great experience.
Yes. I also agree. A lot of people participate in game jam to try new things. Maybe something more specific from their day work, but maybe also to experiment with a different role, or just like see how the game is made. If they're like, I'm a developer, but I'm like transferring to design, and like I used game jams as a tool for me to explore design, which I didn't have that much like option for that on my day work. So it was also a good thing to try new things as those internal game jams in MedHead were. Cool. Since most of you worked with strangers, or at least with the people who you didn't work directly, how did you communicate? Like, how did you manage that? Because for people who don't know, game jams are mostly 48 hours or 24 hours or something, like a very limited time slot. You don't have time to plan ahead a lot. So how did you communicate? Who leads the team? What was your experience working with these new people?
Yeah, so maybe my experience is not really good for this, but I think it's usually good to find a leader in the beginning, to kind of everyone is on board. This is the person that we're listening to, and basically they would run the show, so to say. So, but
it's hard.
Yeah, we also didn't ever have a person leading, and I mean, one time it was okay, the other time it was not. But during the brainstorming, usually one person says the most things, so we listen to them. But it's okay to not have it. It's better to have it. So
yeah, I see it as there's always good to have at least one experienced person in the team, which can at least direct, not set. Oh no, we need to do this. This idea is the best, but just like give. At least I like to give voice to everyone, because it's a common we will not make like the best game ever, which is not the point, but that's also cool to have that.
And well, in my experience, it was we always had a game designer who was the anchoring point. So I would always try any new ideas with him first. He would always nod his head or say, "No, I don't like this," or "I like this." So whenever I was in doubt, I would always communicate with him, and the rest of the team would kind of come, I'd say, later, but he was the first point.
At least in the beginning, like when you are in ideation phase, like setting what you make.
Yes, and I would add to that that it's always good when when you're working with complete strangers, and the game designer is able to give you criticism. He doesn't hold back, because you always iterate on those ideas, and it always turns out a lot better. So, if there are any game designers out there, just we welcome criticism. So, feel free to do so.
Yeah, I just want to say even like on this time limited events, it's always everyone is a bit of designer. It's not like just there is one guy who is a designer and he designs everything. Everyone is like as you said, maybe you're not designer in your work or in your college or like whatever you're studying, but everyone is designing. That's a good thing to build upon.
We usually
Get drunk.
no, we don't get drunk. We usually find out who the leader is. We don't plan it ahead of time, but we can usually see in the first hour or two who talks the most and controls the team. Not in a bad way.
He guides.
And he guides and leads the team. And there should also be at least one well-communicative person, because if there isn't, there can be a lot of misunderstandings, and I learned that the hard way.
How? We didn't finish the game.
Everyone had we finished the game, but it's everyone had a different picture of the game in their minds, and when we found out that we had different picture of the game, it didn't really go well for us.
Yeah, cool. And how it is when you work with the friends, like with someone who already know, and
it's easier when you work with friends because you usually know how they think and what to say to them to get your point across better.
Yeah, that's like always. You know how you like style of communication with people you already communicate with. Cool. So I don't know if others have like some experience working with friends or someone you already know. It's always mostly when I started, I also tried to be to working with people who I don't know, but eventually, because it's a small community, eventually you know a lot of people, and then you try to like there's no one else to work. You work with someone who you know, but you don't work professionally with maybe. So how does this game jams affect your work, or if you're a student, did it? What did you learn from these events? Do you have something, Bogdan?
Yes, my communication skills improved a lot. My teamwork improved. Probably the pace at which I work. My code is probably not as clean as it would be if I didn't rush things as much. But apart from that, I think it's a great thing to participate in game jams, because you also, after all those things, you make connections with people, and I think it's much easier to find a job or whatever if you have those connections.
Yeah, or at least you also have something to show. Like I like to call that portfolio, or it's not a release game, but still something that
most of my, I think, I have about, I think, 11 games on itch, and
Bravo.
8 of those are from game jams. And I think that 3 out of 5 projects in my CV are also from game jams.
Cool, cool, cool. Nikola,
What was the question again?
so we were talking like, does like
right.
does it affect your work or like?
Well, yes, in a different way, because the 2 game jams that I participated in were both 24-hour game
Mhm.
jams. So it really puts into perspective how much you can prioritize things in a certain time constraint, because 24 hours is
Yeah, you cannot
really
make a perfect thing.
Yes, and I think the first time that I tried to do something, it went really poorly because I was kind of overly ambitious. I had something that I just wanted to do, and then I just didn't have the time to do it.
Yeah.
And it was then that I realized that I would have been better off if I just kind of put things into perspective. I told myself, right, we're not going to do 5 things, we're going to do 1 thing, it's going to be good. So don't overextend yourself. And that was the kind of the point where I saw my strong points and weak points in my other work in general on top of that. So
Cool, cool, yeah. Overestimation is always a in the beginning.
So the skill set you need for a game jam is the same for work. So you need teamwork, of course, communication, and fast-paced projects and last-minute changes. It's all in both things. So when I participate in game jams, I also get better at all of those things, and I automatically get better at work and vice versa. So that's mostly how it affects. And from a technical standpoint, I learn new things on game
Yeah,
jams.
some people try new things like,
Yeah.
well, maybe I could learn something.
Yeah, and I can try different roles, or I can try multiple roles at the same time, which makes me generally better at any work. So
Yeah, like experimentation. I also like to, let's do something that I don't do normally.
Yeah, for me it's the same, and I think what it improves most is like your creative thinking for every day, not just for your job. It's just like creative problem solving. It really makes, because it's really tight timeline, and it makes you creatively solve things that you wouldn't usually do in the same way. Because if you're doing one thing the same way every day in your job, in your life, and now you don't have time to do it that way, you need to find another way, and it really pushes you outside of your boundaries, and this is like the perfect pot to push yourself like further than you even knew you could. Yeah.
Cool, cool. Yeah, I also like to think that way too. You can learn new things, and also you learn to make decisions. And you very, like, I also participated in a lot of game jams, like almost 10 years now from my first game jam, and you learn to make decisions that you understand they're not perfect, and that's what people tend like, ooh, they're overthinking things, and
You learn good enough.
yeah, it's good enough, let's do it. It's very, I mean, even in day work, you maybe have more time. You're not doing a project for 2 days, but still that thing goes into like a reflex. When I talk to my colleagues, they tend to see like, "Ah, but you're very easy to communicate. You can make decisions good enough." And I think I learned that from game jams, because there's no other way. You can try to do 5 things and then don't do anything, as Nikola said, and cool. So yeah, that's like what you learned, but also what I see is people learning from challenges. What is like what is in your perspective, Milica, the challenge, common challenge you have on Game Jam, which is also what you people learn from?
Too ambitious ideas,
Yeah.
definitely.
Making
always.
MMORPG.
Even like it's your 15th game jam and you still are overly ambitious in the beginning, and you don't start cutting early enough. Basically, you need to figure out everything you need to cut on the half of the first day probably. So yeah, I think that's the most common problem.
Yeah, that prioritization also, like the what to cut.
A common problem for artists is
Yeah.
to draw the whole game. So you have to draw everything from the backgrounds, characters, objects, UI. So you have to draw everything, and it's not really difficult if you don't strive for perfection. So you just have to plan out really nicely what you have to draw, and it's mostly much easier when you find the references what you need to draw. So it's easy when you see another game similar to what you want to make. So a lot of references is 50% of work. So that's the biggest challenge.
Yeah, I think even for communication, at least I saw that is when I try to communicate idea to others, I say them, oh yeah, we're making something like,
Yeah.
Don't starve.
Yeah.
And then how people understand what you're communicating. And yeah, I like this different perspective from the artist, because art is I don't do art, and different problems from the art perspective. And from the sound.
Well, from the sound perspective, it's always fascinating because we're the last cog, the last link in the chain.
Porsche.
Usually, exactly. So it's always the programmer has a vision of what he's going to execute, how he's going to do it. The game designer knows the whole game, and usually an hour before we're due to make the build, I'm like, oh, so that's what the game looks like, right?
Yeah.
It looks very good. So my one way that we kind of circumvented that, because I'm working on a soundtrack and I don't know how it's going to sound in the context of the game, is we used OBS. I just asked them, can you please give me a minute of gameplay, something, so that I can see if what I'm making is related to what we're actually what the idea is. And a lot of the times it actually fits. We usually have a conversation before we start working, so we know what we're doing, usually with references.
Yeah,
So
like
I'll ask for something that someone wants me to do similar to that, and but the other method is that we try it with some gameplay, with some recordings, and it usually works.
Cool. I know. Sound is always like that, disconnected, and people also game can exist without the sound, and people mostly there are not so many sound engineers, but when you see a game with a sound, it's completely different. Like every game that was had that thing, it was very because of the sound.
Well, I can only say thank you.
Yeah, well, it's cool. I just want to say that sound is very crucial, especially the music. But even finding the right music, even don't have sound engineer, is a tricky thing. Like what to put as a soundtrack. Yeah, and Bogdan, what are your challenges as a developer?
The biggest challenge is probably to find a place to sleep, because my brain just doesn't work well enough if I don't get enough sleep, and I forget the most basic programming patterns if I do.
That's so useful. I always advise people to make a sleep arrangement, like to know where they're going to rest at least.
And also, it's not really related to programming, but it's finding time at the end of the jam to put the sound in. We always forget that.
On the presentation, when you start the game, it's like, oh no, there's no sound. Cool. But Bogdan, did someone make it, or you chose like existing music for? What game do you refer to? That
No, because
priest.
yeah, I'll only make this. I hope a short. We're off topic, but the point is that I was always, when you mentioned there aren't many sound engineers, we're always kind of in the tools, right? So we always think we have to use the best equipment, the best microphone, the best of this, the best of that. And I remember that they were doing a game with a bunch of elderly people who were fighting over bread in a supermarket. And I think, I don't know who from your team just went, you took a phone and recorded some lines like, "Oh, my back," or something along those lines, and it was absolutely hilarious. So if there's one thing that I took away from that game jam, it was that tools don't really matter.
Good enough,
as long
as Milica said.
Yeah, good enough is good enough. So there's that.
Thank you.
Cool. So yeah, I think that's like Nikola's favorite project. What is your, Bogdan, from your game jams? Like, what is the project you? When someone asks you, like, show me something that you're making, and you just like show that.
I like my projects for different reasons.
Uh-huh.
The one that I'm most proud of probably is the one that I made on my first live game jam. It's because of the challenges that I had to go through with the randomly assigned team, and I think the gameplay is very simple and that it's easy to learn, but it's still interesting enough. But apart from that, I also, that's Vrući krompirići. That's what it's called. And apart from that, I liked a game because I worked on it after the jam, like for about 2 or 3 weeks, and that's Bad Week. And it was really funny to me because it was a horror game, and it had jump scares. So I showed everyone, and it's funny to see people be scared.
Yeah. Did you like add new stuff into that game, or like wanted to publish it more like more polished version?
It's we had planned for it to have 4 levels, but we only made 3, and I wanted to polish it and add that 4th level, and just to publish it on itch.
Yeah.
And we had a few playthroughs on YouTube because it's an itch.io horror game, and everyone likes that.
Yeah, there is like a niche of people playing horror
Yes.
games. Cool. I also advise everyone to like all the games you work on, all the projects, you should put it somewhere. It doesn't need to be perfect or like whatever. You just put it, and like after some time when you see like 10, 15 or whatever projects you worked on, it's very satisfying, and people can see your work. That's cool.
Yes, I have those 11 games on my itch, and I have a bunch more, like at least 30 that are also on itch, but they're not on the main page. So I like to take a look at them, but I don't like other people seeing them.
Okay, yeah, but this is like it's still like a finished project. A game jam
Yes.
is a finish. If you have some prototype, okay, that's.
I guess I don't like to waste people's time with finished games.
But
That's probably.
okay, yeah. It's still a prototype. Still, people can try something.
No, I usually show them if I think the people
enough.
that I show them to will like it.
Cool, cool. Sure, whoever, like your favorite game jam. I mean, I know you participate only in 2, but still, we all participate in 2 at some time.
well, I hope it's not a coward's response if I say that both of them were really meaningful to me for different reasons. Because the first game jam was the one where I kind of figured out this is what I want to do. I like this atmosphere. I like these people. I like being here. I like doing this. And the second one was the one where I actually got to realize an idea that that was more interesting to me, which was dynamic music. It isn't a lot, but to me it was the first time.
Yeah, you tried something new.
It worked, and I was quite happy.
Cool.
My favorite game jam project was also my first one. It was a game called Minesweeper, which is like a crazy
A reference.
crazy Minesweeper, yeah. I don't know. It was just it's my favorite because it had a lot of potential for further development, which we didn't do.
Yeah,
We never.
it happens.
It's a finished game, but we never did more on it. So, but we can. So maybe we will, and it's still my favorite. And I also participated in only 2, so I don't have too much.
Yeah, but you see in other games, and
Yeah.
you see. I also like to thank you coming and sharing your experience, because I also want to show that it's not like this is only for some highly super professionals. It's just like from the beginners in the industry, and we were all beginners at some point. So
Yeah, I'm new to game jams, but I learned a lot from just 2.
Thanks. For me, it's also the first one, definitely.
first
And
love.
Weirdly, it's the only game that was kind of complete, actually, and was working very well. It was a classic platformer, but with a cool mechanic, and it really, it could like become something that's the
Like the full
only
game.
yeah, it's the only one with a like a promise. And but also really love the last one that it was the first jam I did fully online. We met maybe twice live, but it was like fully online thing, and it was the first jam that was 5 or 7 days, I don't remember, and we were really relaxed, like we have time, it's gonna be easy, we're gonna do so much. It was the weirdest artsy shit that didn't work. It's like the worst game I ever made, saw, or like witnessed.
Like the finished
Yeah,
like
it's-
the game
it's,
itself
It's hardly
didn't
even
click,
called a game. It's really
experience.
it's super bad, but I really love the whole experience of making that. Like, yeah, it was a lot learned, definitely.
Yeah, I also when I see people who okay, first, second, third, 10th game jam, and then they try all, they boost their confidence. Oh, we will now make MMORPG.
No, not a good idea.
Never. But it's mostly this experimental. We will have cinematic. We will have
Yeah,
like.
we thought we were really artsy and cool. but
Yeah,
Nope.
we try to give expression, like artist expression. But it's cool always to try that and see what you had. Like, yeah, my favorite game jam project is like the one that was also a very strong reference to a different game, which we like. Oh, let's make something like Overcooked, and then we make like a Slava simulator, and
I love that game so much.
people. I think it's my favorite because a lot of people resonated with that game.
I still remember the game and I love it. I always tell people about it.
Nordeus just arrived,
I saw him.
who was part of that team, and I really like. I realized, as I said, sharing games which you make is also cool because you get feedback, and sometimes it's this like people are very excited. Sometimes it's like, oh yeah, it's broken, but still receiving that feedback is something you cannot pay, you cannot buy. That's why the game is also very interesting, because I got a lot of feedback from people trying it or seeing it. Cool. So yeah, with your experience in game jams now, as you see, we have beginners and people who are already have a lot of game jams. Like, what would be your advice to someone starting, or even like someone participated, but from your past experiences, like?
Maybe from 2 sides.
Mhm.
One is like try and prioritize and cut very early.
Yeah, that's a producer side.
Yeah, that's the producer side. The other side is like human side, which is
Producers,
because
not humans.
producers are not humans. Everyone knows that. The other is like make sure to not forget to take care of your body and your mind. Like find time to sleep, find time to eat, hydrate. It sounds stupid, but when you go really deep into it, you kind of forget that you need to operate, and yeah, that's really something to never forget.
Yeah, I agree. Also, that's for me now. That's the first thing. Like when I will sleep, and I set that.
My biggest advice is to start small and don't complicate right away, because people always say, programmers always say it's 2 lines of code. It's really simple. I don't want to do that. I want to make a bigger game. It's never 2 lines of code. It always gets complicated with all the people working on different aspects. So just make the simple thing and then complicate. Just
Yeah, like build on it.
Yeah.
Like you can always add stuff. Right?
Yeah, you always add stuff, and you always add unique stuff. If you want your game to be unique, it will be. It will be, even if it sounded simple.
Yeah, especially when you start from some reference, and then you build upon reference. Oh, let's add these memes, and then if I tap on it, it drops, and yeah, that's cool. And you, Nikola?
Well, to add to what Milica and Neda have said, I think one other piece of advice is maybe keep the main task in mind, as in. When you all boil it down to, it's easy to get lost when you're 24 hours in one thing, if it's for a 24-hour game jam. But I guess sometimes I keep forgetting that we're doing this for 5 minutes of presentation, which means that in those 5 minutes, that's all we have to present. So sometimes I might think, oh, I need to make a piece of music that's 10 minutes, it needs to be 15 minutes, it needs to have all of these parts, but it's unnecessary. I mean, I'm speaking from the perspective of someone who does music, but if you have a 15-second loop that works, that's really, really, really good, that's all you really need. There's no need to think about making.
Yeah, as Neda says, start small, and then if you
Exactly.
have time, you can always add new stuff.
So
Yeah, that's cool. Especially, I agree with presentation. You present, but so it's a bit different than people playing the game directly. So that's also a challenge by itself, but also an opportunity to learn. When I talk to a lot of people who are new, and then tell them you need to present the game, and they're like, I don't know, presenting in front of like 50 people. But then they get relaxed and just do it. So don't be afraid. And Bogdan, yeah, what is your advice? But you said sleep.
A lot of advice had already been said by them, but I think it's important to create a prototype as fast as possible after thinking of the idea, so that you have something to show right away. And also, don't worry too much about the presentations. And like the worst thing that can happen is that your presentation is below average or something, and that's not really that scary. And people tend to get very stressed about that.
Yeah, it's completely a new thing. Like people maybe never made a game, but still they were doing something at home, either programming or drawing or making music. But presenting, you never do that at home. Like, oh, hey, mom, I want to show you something. No. So yeah, that's a good thing, but also it's a good opportunity to learn that, and that's cool to have. Yeah, I mean, I completely agree with your advices. I'm also mostly on that sleep part and hydration, but everyone has their own schedule, so it's all a relative thing, whatever works. And yeah, that's the questions I wanted to talk about with you, and thank you. And is there any question from the audience for our guests or me? Yeah, we have that. We have like even a microphone for. No. I want it on that. Where is this thing? Test. Huh? Oh, yeah. You can throw it. It's not active, huh? No, here you go. I will be the.
Test. Okay.
Yeah. This.
So you usually join game jams to learn something, like do something new, like test yourself, see like how you perform, like under very intense things. So now there's this new tool. I think you've heard of it, generative AI, and a lot of us are kind of like love it or hate it. So what do you guys think? Like, is that acceptable to be used? Should it be like a specific like tag? Okay, this game jam allows generative AI. This one doesn't. What do you think? Is it moral, immoral?
Yeah, we have a technical difficulty with this, but I will be the.
For me, it's an ethical thing. It's like it's your thing. If you think it's okay to use generative AI in general, if you feel like that's okay to like copy other people without their permission, then it's your thing and you do that, because there are no rules basically. AI is so far gone that it's no more. We cannot control it anymore. Like, not that we could anyway. But I think it's really a question for yourself. Like, do I want to do that, or do I want to push myself to create? When I say create, I mean not just like art. I mean game design, create better code, more creative, whatever. So for me, it's not a general question. It's a you question, basically. So that's my personal opinion.
There's also a part where a lot of game jams have their own rules. So some of them will tell you you can't use it. Some of them will tell you you can use it. So when you can, it's on you to decide. Personally, I use it when I can as a reference mostly. So I never take something right away, but I use it like to create a vibe.
Like a better Google search.
Well,
This should not be like everyone answers if they don't want. Yeah.
But I mean, I always thought of because my first game jam experience. I just wanted to answer the question. I mean, I failed really hard. It was really bad. But I kind of owned that, and it was. I kind of remember going home and thinking that whatever I did, it was at least mine. So I kind of owned it. It's different because I saw my personal growth in all the other work that I did. So I'm not sure. I didn't exactly go there to win. It was just more of a thing where I wanted to see how I would do. So I don't know. That's my perspective.
I think using AI is okay, but only if you're not stopping yourself from learning. And if you use it to get over some limitation, like if you don't do art and you need art, it's fine. And I also think that AI, if you're using it for art, for example, you can really easily tell if it's AI generated, and it feels kind of soulless, at least right now, until it improves or something. But it didn't happen yet, so I'm fine with it right now.
Yeah. It's a controversial thing.
Yeah, but
Good question.
why. I think there's a way to use AI, which is to use it as a tool to optimize, to like cut some automatic, to make things automatic, to cut some like legwork basically. But for me personally, I wouldn't use it for creating, but I would use it as a tool to help me speed up, or I don't know. So yeah.
Yeah, it's very controversial. Like For me, I see teams using AI, especially for art and sound, because they don't have those roles in their team. So they're like, oh, I'll generate something, blah, blah. But yeah, I agree. It's much better when a real artist creates it, because you can communicate much better with that artist. It's like a two-way communication. It's not like you're telling someone, oh, draw me this, draw me that. So I prefer to have the whole team than just like, because eventually people will start it for a code also, and I mean that's also happening now, but still it's a very, you can see it's not the real thing, and it's not the point. Especially a lot of game jams are not competitive, so like why are you doing that? Like it's it is no. I mean, someone would ask, why do you do that game jam? It's not competitive, but like in order to create something, whatever, everyone has a reason. But when you're not competing for some prize or something, there's no need to like better to create something which is your own, which you feel like this is what I made, than just like, well, I'll reuse something from AI generated content. But it's still that's why it's controversial. Cool. Thank you for the question. Anyone else? Oh, here and there. Okay, Toma.
Hi. I wanted to ask, how should people prepare for game jams? You can answer like in general and for your field.
I just want to say, get some slippers, because if you're going on a 48-hour game jam, your feet will stink a lot. It's very uncomfortable.
Okay.
Thank you.
Take a shower.
I think you said it all. I think it's well, it's kind of difficult, because you actually get the team once you when you get to the game jam, they then reveal like, oh yeah, this is what the team is. So the team is either going to be, I don't know, the team was the trap, survival, basically usually a single word that would describe something. So that kind of informs you on a lot of things. It already has constraints with it, but I'd say that you can always at least prepare the bare minimum in terms of software, because I don't think that game jams require something extraordinary when it comes to music. So you can keep it simple. Basically, if you have free tools, free synthesizers, free pianos, you can use them. It's really no big deal. You don't have to have God knows what.
Like orchestra.
Personally, I don't prepare anything. I just come here. So I actually do prepare for a social aspect. So to meet new people, which is the hardest, and to talk with new people and to just click with them in 48 hours. That's like that takes preparing for me. But other than that, you just come there.
Yeah, I don't have anything smart to say.
Cool. Yeah, we have a question there.
Thank you. So, this is a sound-related question, so aimed at you mostly, but anybody can answer. So, when you sound design something, how often do you directly implement it, or do you work, of course, with somebody that codes and just hand it off to them so they can implement? And also, do you work directly in the game engine, or use something like Fmod, Audio-Connected Wise, or so on?
I forgot. Yeah.
No, like that one guy said, I can yell too.
Yeah, but I want it on camera.
So yeah, it's a good question, because I also was thinking about perhaps using middleware, but usually there's no time, because middleware requires integration beforehand. Game jams are a little bit too constrictive for that kind of thing. So your best bet is to, I didn't implement any of the sounds from the game jams that I participated in, but it always kind of came as a last thing, which is why I would ask for a programmer to at least to at least have some footage ready of the gameplay, because it's one of the best ways that I can actually check if the sound effects that I'm making or the music that I'm making, if it works or if it doesn't. So if someone is, I don't know, if someone is comfortable with version control, I guess that's a valid method, but I personally haven't tried it, so I can't speak to that.
I also mostly implement sound by myself from the sound engineer.
Same.
Yeah, cool. Cool. Any other question? Yeah, there are some questions there. Here you go.
Hi, is there any funny moment from the game jam that would you share with us?
Thank you. Huh?
Well, it's a bit of a, it was a bit painful, but I came to laugh about it a bit later. It was, I mean, I want to emphasize, if there's one thing that I just want people to take away from anything that I've said on this panel, it's that don't have overly ambitious ideas or anything, because you're going to try to do 10 things and you're not going to do one of them right. So I remember I had this idea that I could create 5 different musical tracks for 5 different screens, and not one of them got the love and attention that it needed. And then when we were presenting our game, I was hearing this dreadful piece of music going off the speakers, and I realized, wait, I composed that. So it was, I remember I was kind of sinking in my seat, because the worst part, it was actually looping. So with each loop, it was kind of taking a bit of me away. And I remember someone in the audience, because it must have looped for the 10th time, and it was getting on my nerves, and he went like, like, and I remember I was just thinking, oh God. So yeah, it wasn't funny, but it's funny now. So
No, if someone has, it's.
I have a slight funny moment. So during my first game jam, we had a guy in our team who did nothing. I mean, he was just there, and it was okay actually. Yes, we proclaimed him our CEO because he was wearing a black turtleneck and he was doing nothing. So we didn't like. It wasn't a negative thing to do nothing. He was just funny, and he was there. He was there for brainstorming. So we didn't really have any negative experiences. It was just funny.
Cool.
Yeah, I have one horror story, but not from participating, more from organizing Game Jam. And like we realized in the worst way possible that it's not a good idea to have fish as food for Game Jam, because we had some catering. And the AC went off in the building where we had it, and like maybe an hour after it came there, it was the whole place smelled like worst kind of horror, literally. And we couldn't, when it was on the first day, and we couldn't get it out or the next day. It was horrific. Yeah. So don't do that.
Cool. Thank you, Andrei.
Do you have any more questions?
Yeah, there is one.
Okay.
Hi, thanks for the great talk. Do you guys have a secondary role in your teams, and what is your favorite secondary role or roles that you would like to have in a team? Like, for example, I'm usually a programmer, and maybe I like to design or do UI art or stuff like that.
I also like to talk about the game design, even if we do have a game designer, and I believe everyone should participate in other parts, even if they're not assigned that role. I think that if everyone is on the same page about what they want the game to be, then it's much better if they communicate with each other about what they think is better. And you usually come to a good conclusion with that.
Well, if you're an artist in the team, you have 7 roles. So you have to do UI. That's one role. You have to do illustration, background, technical production, exporting assets. It's a lot of roles, so it's enough. But I also participate in game design a little bit in the beginning. So actually, the whole team participates. So whatever you are, you're also a game designer. So that's really fun.
Yeah, I agree with that, and I like what you said before. It's like everyone should be a part of game design, because why not? It's a good idea for everyone to brainstorm, and I definitely love to do that. And I think everyone should do anything they can. Basically, there's no like idle hands in Game Jam. We talked before now. Like if you're a narrative designer for some reason on Game Jam and you finish everything you needed to do in the first like 5 hours, you wouldn't like just sit idly. You would do something, finding assets, searching for music, helping someone with something. Like there's always things to do because it's such a short time and everyone has, there's work for everyone basically. So yeah.
Yeah, and that communication also between people, people should try to be proactive, like to find their own, like,
yeah, exactly.
How can I help? It's not like, oh no, I'm just this role and just doing that. It's very be flexible. Yeah, okay. We will stay even more to eat all of that is left there and have some drinks. So yeah, you. There are 2 questions, and we will cut it.
Yeah, thanks. So, as an artist who has nightmares about their portfolio, how do you present a game that's not perfectly done? So, how do you pitch or present a game jam game?
Well, I do have one that's not perfect. It's not even really a full game, but I presented it as I saw it, as I imagined it. So you can do your art even after the game jam and make it in your portfolio. But during the game jam, it doesn't even have to be perfect right there. So you can always do more on it and make it presentable later.
I want to say it's a really good opportunity to grow and to learn that skill, because that's something that you'll have to, if you plan to work in this industry, you'll have to do that, because not always you'll have time to do perfect art. And usually, being an artist myself before, I know you're never satisfied. There's always more to do and you can always see flaws. But again, from non-human side, a producer will make you stop, you know, and you'll have to learn to live with yourself and to live with your art and to learn how to kill your art. It's a really good ground to learn those skills in a game jam, because you just have to. Like, there's no going back. This is a great growing up opportunity, basically.
Yeah, in game jams it's a bit relaxed, because it's not every game is perfect. Like, no game is perfect, and people also have like expectation that whatever is presented there is not going to be fully perfect, like, because it never is. And it's opportunity to grow, also to make decisions where to stop doing.
I just wanted to say that you always have the excuse of the game jam was short, or like,
or developer didn't implement it in the
yeah,
programmer didn't put it in the game. Yeah, always on the. We have a question in the back. Huh? You were first.
Okay, we can do those 2 questions.
Yeah.
I have a question for you. Did I hear well that you are a developer, but you shifted to art?
No, to game design.
To game design.
Yeah.
Okay, can you tell us something more about that? How that happened, that shifting, and how are you satisfied now?
Yeah, I have. So As we already talked on game jams, everyone is doing design because making deciding what will team make is a team effort thing, and I realized like over the years that I have like the built-in skill for design. I was always on the edge of design. Like as a developer, I was much closer to designers than other developers. I realized I have that skill, and then I polished it, and like over time wanted to be like this mix role of the guy who can develop like code and also do concrete system game design. Like I'm going towards that as now in the company like in Nordeus where I'm working, we have a much bigger need for designers. I kind of just like took more and more from the design side and decreased my software development side. But yeah, it was a natural transition for me. I didn't like plan it out a lot.
So can we do one more question?
Yeah. So yeah, I mean that's I think also from game jams you can also learn that you try that things. I mean, I always say art is the hardest thing because you need a hand, like a years of drawing, but everyone can draw something. So at least you can try to draw something. It will not be perfect, definitely, but you can try to see the. But everything else you can at least try it on the game jam to be a part of the code or music or art, and you should be flexible with your roles. And yeah, one more question and.
Thanks. In the short amount of time that you're working on game jams, did you ever encounter problems in the very end for like optimizing or building the game? And do you think there's a
Did
difference
you never?
in yeah. Do you think there's like a better tool like a game engine that's better for beginners and optimizing and building? That's the question.
Yeah. There is always, I mean, I will answer while the mic is traveling. There is always problems, like when you plan to have and you get used to them. And I mean, for the engines, no, people have their own preference of how they work. It depends on the team.
I think I only didn't have problems in like 2 game jams so far. So every other game jam had some kind of problem. There were problems with the presentations. There were problems with the build. There were problems with bugs that we discovered just before we had to build the game. And usually the organizers will let you go for like a few more minutes so that you can patch things up. For that game engine question, I like to advertise Godot engine. I don't know, I like it a lot. So I like it more because it's way faster to iterate in than some other engines. I won't name them. and it can be pretty intuitive, especially if you haven't gotten used to the other engines already.
Milica.
Thanks. For me, I don't think it's ever a problem of the engine or a tool, and I don't think anything can help you. Basically, it's always like a
Grit.
problem.
You need to like
yeah.
do it.
I don't think a tool can help a lot. It's more like your organization and ambition. That, yeah.
Cool. I know people have more questions, but we will be here, and you're also invited to stay around and meet each other and talk. And what I also wanted first to thank you for listening to us, and to thank the panelists for sharing their experience. And I also wanted to just to share our next project. I think we already talked. I mean, shared it on the Discord. But the thing, see, this is our logo of our organization, Game Dev Guild Serbia, and okay. And I wanted to invite you all to our first. Not first GMTK Game Jam in Belgrade, but first organized by the Game Dev Guild, which is this formal non-profit organization for game jams. And this will happen on August 16th to 18th, which is a Friday to Sunday event. And then since GMTK Game Jam lasts for 4 days, we will have only physical location for these 2.5 days during the weekend. But on the Wednesday, the next week, we will do the presentations for the games. So, yeah, we will share more info and sign-up link for everyone to participate. And yeah, I hope I will see you there, or you can also share with your friends or whatever. So yeah, thank you for your time. That's it. We can open this. We need like a music or something.